Actually, not no, not I wouldn't say relieved, but very pleased. That sounds a bit odd, but I think I've just said on TV the biggest compliment I can pay Bristol is we're delighted to win. You know, and I'd have been delighted to win whether it had been a 20 points to 10 type of win or whatever. And I think in a lot of ways, what I'd like to know, I can understand all the disappointment from Bristol. Of course, I can. I understand it fully. You know, I've been involved in rugby a long time, and they're there. You know, fingertips of a very important win for all kinds of reasons. And I know how hard that can be. You know, we've had that happen to us. But I'd also like to flick it over a bit and talk that from our perspective, to have that group of players come here and get a bonus point win away from home in the Premiership is a big thing for us. You know, today was a big thing for us as well. You know, and you think, you know, the front row that finished off that game with Streety and Keasty in there, that's a big moment for them. Big part of their development, a big part of where they're going. You know, if you wanted to be funny about it, that's kind of props 7 and 8 on there when we're winning that game. Do you know what I mean? And that's big thing. That's big things for us to have those kind of players on there and coming through. And they've kind of developed. They've been taking their chances over a period of time. They've come through in the Premiership Cup, and they've gone on there and, you know, got involved in the game at a crucial time. And, you know, there's important things out there for us. And, you know, that's the bit I want us to make sure we don't get away from. We watched carefully what Bristol have done in their preparation over the last few weeks. You know, they've done a lot of very, very good preparation, going and beating a good Wasps team last week, getting themselves up and running. They've obviously, and don't forget, I think the other thing you need to remember is that this period for Bristol running into this game hasn't been 3 weeks, because they're 2 Challenge Cup games. Is it still called the Challenge Cup?
Yeah. Champions Cup, yeah.
Prior to that, so you know that's a block of 5 games where you can kind of organise your way of preparing for that next Premiership game. And I know how well they're prepared because we used to do it. We used to do exactly the same thing. You get that block of games and you go, right, we're going to be absolutely meticulous in our preparation, how we give our guys game time, how we get guys fit, the workloads we put into them, because when we get back in the Premiership we're going to be, boom, A1 from minute 1. I'm pleased for us because we took a slightly different approach, because we're done well in the Premiership, because we had 2 tough games in the Champions Cup. We actually decided to rest a hell of a lot of the guys who played out there today for 3 weeks. It's nearly a month since they played rugby. We were prepared to take a bit on the chin, and we were hoping that we didn't have to take so much on the chin and to lose a game of rugby. And so I've got to give the players credit, because literally all we said to them in the run-up to this game was, we're not going to expect you to be perfect, because it's almost impossible for you to be perfect. You haven't played for a month. But we do expect your endeavour and your application to go out and actually just commit physically to the game, to go out and win it, to be perfect. You know, you're fresh, you should be able to go out and go flat out into the game. That bit, because that was our focus going into the game, I've got to congratulate them on that. I can be picky and pick out all the mistakes we made out there. We made loads of mistakes, and we gave away penalties, and we didn't get the fluidity we normally do, but we were never going to. And I'd have been the one who'd had to take that on the chin. It would have been my fault if we'd have lost today, not the players. And that's why I'm kind of really pleased with them today, because they've overcome quite a few hurdles, and the biggest hurdle was a Bristol team playing bloody well. You know,
Vindicated your decision or your preparation?
Well, just about. You know, just about. And I think that's why, for me, you know, I want to avoid getting caught into something that's all about one refereeing decision right at the end of the game, because that was 80 minutes of to and fro. Real, you know, you could pull out decisions all over that game that altered the momentum of the game, shifts both ways. You know, that's why, you know, it's important. And I've just said to our players, it's important you don't look at the fact that we've won the game at the end to gloss over all the mistakes we made, because we've got to move on. We've got to get better. Gloucester are rampant at the minute. We've got them next week. Well, we've got to take a noticeable step up to even be competitive against Gloucester next week. So there's things we've got to keep doing to keep moving on. But you know, I can't sit here and not credit the players for what they've done today. They've committed fully to it, and however we had to win the game, they found a way of doing it.
How did you see that last decision, the penalty try?
The problem is, and obviously I've benefited from going up to TV and where they've said, the referee said the penalty try is for 10 and 12 side entry, and it's not clear to see that, but you do see the 10 try. You know, he is trying as hard as he can to tackle it once he's made side entry. The blindside winger comes in pretty clearly offside. There are offences going on there. Now, Greg may not have expressed it quite how it actually happened, but he's seen something, because you can see in his body language, he's looking at a couple of things that have happened and he's gone, they've stopped this by giving away penalties. he's pretty clear in his mind. Now, he may not have expressed it correctly, and I've seen this loads of times before. So we can sit here and we can destroy the referee for how he's actually talked on the field. Doesn't necessarily mean he's made an incorrect decision.
No.
He's pretty clearly seen a penalty offence. If we don't score, this is the problem with all. If we don't score, he's awarded a yellow card and probably a penalty again. We may score the next time. This is the trouble. This is what I just said. This is the problem in trying to make a referee's performance about one decision. It's so wrong, but it feels, because of the swing in the game right in that last second, that it's the only thing we want to talk about. Well, the truth is that's not how it's not how either team will move forward as a side, either us or Bristol.
What did you say to your players at half time?
I kind of just said, all I kind of said to them was there's a few things we were doing that's uncharacteristic. We gave, but I kind of understood why they were happening, because the team hadn't played together for a while. You know, in defence, we got done on some pretty basic things like show and goes. We bought little bits of dummies. We pressed on people on the outside when the threat was on the inside. You know, we actually didn't defend the threat, which was the guy with the ball, about 4 times in the first half, and Bristol made clean breaks. That's very uncharacteristic of us. But to be fair, Bristol, you know, they were playing for it. You know, they played for it, and they played for it very well. They found space on the inside of passes because we underworked on the inside. We had a few players who, you know, put their hands on their knees a bit around rucks, which is pretty uncharacteristic for us. And so that was kind of what we talked about half time. Just make sure we keep driving what we're about, because ultimately that's the thing that will give us the biggest opportunity to come through. You know, it's being the machine that is Exeter Chiefs is what ultimately over 80 minutes tends to win us games. And if you drop out of being part of the machine in defence or in your system plays, very much what happens is what you saw today. It becomes a scrappy affair, and the opposition find ins into the game that we would normally stop.
Pat said in the week he looked at you and Exeter and Saracens as teams that have had a solid base for 10 years in coaching and squads coming through. How do you see Bristol, their season back in the Premiership?
Well, I walk around. I mean, this is a fantastic facility, isn't it? And I walk around and I see a lot of things put up on the wall, and a lot of the things are the things we speak about that are foundation elements for us and have been there for foundation elements, like you said, that 10-year period. If those things come to fruition and remain foundation elements for them, things look very solid. Solid performances like today shouldn't. What they've got to be careful of today is the upset of coming so close to an important win today doesn't hurt them. You know, it should actually strengthen them. Really, that's how you've got to try and use the disappointment today, is to look how well we played today in so many facets of our game. Well, let's make sure those facets don't drop away. You know, they'll count well next week as well, and the week after, and the week after. That's all we've ever done. We've always gone look at what's going well. These things can be foundations for us, and then how can you push on top of it? You know, and like I say, for me, I've got to be careful I don't get caught up in the Bristol thing too much. I've got to focus on our team. And what was really great about our team was guys who've come in and played well, how we've dealt with international people being away, how we've dealt with this break over the Premiership Cup. You know, there's a lot of things for me to be very positive with our group about, and that's what I've really got to focus on.
And makes for an exciting game on January the 5th.
Well, there you go. You know, Bristol obviously look pretty comfortable playing against us, and they've scored plenty of points today. They'll certainly look forward to coming up to Stanley Park. Everyone knows that, you know, the surface is very much like here, so you can play rugby on it. It's not going to be a game with no rugby getting played. Bristol like to play rugby. They look very comfortable with what they're doing, as you saw today. We don't think we're comfortable with what we're doing. You know, it could be a really, really good spectacle for people to come and watch. We've also got to come back here in a very important game in the Premiership Cup, and now I can already feel that Bristol are going to be really coming after us very hard in that game as well, because they'll have a point to prove from today as well.